reminder that the monthly BidBuy training is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, August 19th. We do have a couple new job aids related to joint purchasing, the updated job aids for piggybacks. We'll kind of unpack that and when you can use those piggybacks. Wanted to just let you guys know that I'm going to create a vendor video that will be coming out soon on some very common reasons why vendors get disqualified. So it will probably just be a link. It'll just be a YouTube video that'll be really easy for you guys to throw into your solicitation documents, or if vendors ask questions, you can kind of point them to a video. And we also have a very important fun fact of the day. All right, so first off, our monthly BidBuy training, which will be tomorrow. We've discussed it over the last couple of weeks, but if you are new or didn't join us the last couple of weeks, I do know that a lot of our procurement personnel, we might have a smaller group today just because there are a lot of people that are on taking a class today. So what we do is we will be doing the same sort of BidBuy training that we've done in the last couple months remotely, in that we will do a specific sessions. It will be the same link. You can see the link at the bottom there. You can just click on the link when it's time. And 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock, we'll be having these different sessions. But you don't have to worry about different WebExes. You can come and go as you please. At 9 a.m., we're going to do an introduction, an overview of the system, a little bit of history, how we got there, got here with BidBuy, and then get into general navigation within the system. At 10 a.m., we'll do a small purchase under $10,000, which is requisition to PO. At 11 o'clock, we'll take a little break, then we'll come back at 11 o'clock, do a small purchase, $10,000 and above, and then break for lunch, come back and do a release off of master. Okay, so feel free to come in and join us whenever you can. We will do one thing that's slightly different than we have in the past. Rather than doing requiring a registration, we will just ask in the chat for each session what agency you are coming from, because we get those questions quite a bit sometimes from agencies, and our agency personnel attending some of these trainings. So we're not going to require a specific registration, but we will ask just at the beginning of each session just to type in the chat, what agency you're from, and it gives us a better a better overall view of who's attending trainings and where we might need to go out and pursue a specific extra training. All right, so we hope you join us tomorrow morning. This is perfect for those that are new to the BidBuy system. It will be very specific to BidBuy versus other procurement trainings that we do. Or if perhaps you've just need a little fresher, a refresher course, we'll be discussing that tomorrow. Okay, so we do have some recently published UP job aids, which is the Unified Procurement Program, our joint purchasing arm. So as you can see here, just the screenshot at the bottom, I just recently published agency-specific piggyback as well as JPMC piggyback, which is Joint Purchase Master Contract. So let's just kind of unpack this a little bit, what each one of those are. So if I'm at the agency and I'm going to do a joint purchase master contract, that is if you're seeking to conduct a 1-year piggyback procurement using an executed federal agency, a vetted cooperative or consortium contract, and make it available to all or certain state agencies, governmental units, and qualified not-for-profit agencies. Where the agency-specific piggyback is, you're going to create a 1-year contract using the piggyback process through a federal agency or vetted cooperative or consortium, but it'll be just for your agency. So we've this is the reason that, and so we get a couple questions. Let me kind of just immediately go to the 1 year, because the reason we don't do the 1 year or the reason we stop it at 1 year is that within 1 year, your agency should be able to do a procurement for that good or service. And so the other issue with the 1 year piggybacks is that it's a contract that has already been executed. We are just kind of you're piggybacking. You're just jumping onto that contract, and so it is the least transparent and perhaps Illinois businesses didn't have a chance to be a part of that procurement. So that's why it's capped at 1 year, and you wouldn't be able to do a 10-year piggyback contract. So that's where that's kind of coming from. Let's see, I have a question. Can you give some examples of these that have been done if you have any? Yes, so I do know um, when I'm trying to remember exactly what it was specifically for. I know it was when I was the SPO at ISB. We were one of the first agencies that did a piggyback. Um, oh, perfect. Thank you, Michelle. DVA did one for hospital beds. Thank you, and thank you, David. DOT did one for with John Deere, and so the pricing, it has to be a vetted consortium and vetted, through a federal agency. And we'll have some specific training that will be coming from our up folks on these specific type of procurements. But we wanted to be able to make sure that we had all the job aids updated before we did that. So thanks for jumping in on that. I appreciate that. Okay, so it's kind of one of those things. If you're, go out and take a look at it. If you're, the joint purchasing is something that is new, and it's exciting because it does offer potential options for agencies to be able to go out and do these contracts. So that's something that the CPO's office has been focused on recently, and some additional guidance will be forthcoming. Okay, so our next topic is top 5 reasons vendors get disqualified. I wanted to do a video that we could be proactive for our vendors to let them know, even though we have instructions, and it can just be difficult sometimes, and for some vendors, particularly some of our small businesses, to wade through the paperwork and everything in order to have a fully responsive response to an IFB or RFP, or even our small purchases. So we wanted to be proactive and have something where I can do a video that just talks about some of the most common reasons why vendors get disqualified. And that way you can just put that in as a part of, on your RFQ, or your, in the IFB, or if the vendors specifically ask if they have questions, you can always point them to a video. I did the video, but honestly, I just wasn't happy with it because for some reason there was some weird lag in the vocals, and working from home has I'm sure, as you guys all know, brought with it its own set of challenges. So I wasn't happy with that, so I'm going to redo it. Oh, let me go back real quick. There's a question. What cooperatives and consortiums have been vetted? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to the up page and show you there is actually a list. So if I go to the CPOGS webpage, I go to the Unified Procurement Program down at the bottom right, and you have some of these processes and resources. Cooperatives and consortiums approved for use at the bottom. You can click there, and probably kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can scroll in there. There we go. So these are the options with the links to those. Oh, and that reminds me now. Okay, the ILTPP, the Illinois Learning Technology Purchase Program. That was the first piggyback we did with ISB and the Illinois Public Higher Education Cooperative. And so these have to be vetted so that from a very high level point of view, like I said, our up folks will be able to explain it much better in more detail, but they have to be vetted because they can't go against the requirements of the Illinois state. But we'll be able to go into that. But there's a list right there that you can go and take a look at. You know what? I just realized that I was just sharing the PowerPoint. Why don't I go back and actually share my screen? Let's see, I hit the wrong button, of course. Sorry. There we go. Now I should be sharing my screen. Okay, there we go. So what I did was, let me go back on our CPOGS website, right? That's the main there. I go to the bottom right, I hit Unified Procurement Program. and it opens up this page, which is the up page. And then at the bottom, cooperatives and consortiums approved for use. So I click that, and then here is the list of our cooperatives and consortiums approved for use. Sorry about that. I just realized that I wasn't sharing my screen, so now you should be able to see that. Okay, so going back to my top 5 reasons vendors get disqualified, we want to create that video. Let's just talk about these really quickly, just so you kind of have a heads up and know that what's going to be coming down the pike. So number one, not being registered with Board of Elections, that is cause for being deemed non-responsive. And in the video, I will reference, specific where in code and those sorts of things. But we just want to let you know that these are important reasons. And I guess, as well, if you guys see some additional reasons that you see a lot, by all means, let us know. We'll add it to the video, because the more knowledgeable our vendors are, the better responses we're going to get back, right? So being not registered with Board of Elections will be deemed non-responsive. If a vendor submits Form E without having an active IPG registration, we see this quite a bit, where the vendor they submit their IPG registration, but it hasn't been vetted yet, so they don't actually have an active IPG registration. And so in that instance, as you guys probably are well aware, we always tell vendors, if you don't have an active IPG registration, if you've just submitted it to IPG, there is a little bit of a lag time. We do have the IPG team that every single day, there's a group of folks that are going through and vetting these every single day. But if you don't have an active IPG registration as a vendor, you really need to submit a Forms A. It's the same information, but if it hasn't been vetted through Forms B, because a lot of times through IPG, there's back and forth. There are things that need to be corrected. So if you do not have an active IPG registration, you need to go ahead and submit Forms A. Number 3, no BEP utilization plan. You can be deemed non-responsive there, potentially with no good faith effort as well, tagged along with the BEP. Number 4, small business set-asides. If you are not a small business vendor, but you submit to a set-aside. Now, this isn't going to be as it won't be as prevalent for your small purchases, which is, of course, a big arm of our small business set-asides, because they are set aside for small businesses if it's less than the small business or small purchase threshold. But I'm talking about, we put it out, it has to be visible to everybody that this is set aside. So it's one of those 600 some NIGP codes that are set aside for small business vendors. And you get a non-SBSP vendor submitting. That can be a common thing as well. And then lastly, just specifications, just kind of in general, being able to unpack the idea of, if you don't meet the specifications for what the state is looking for and is required, you would be deemed non-responsive. And so we'll talk about these things a little bit more in the video, but I really just want to let you guys know that it's going to be coming, and I think it'll be helpful. And if you have specific feedback that aren't a part of one of these 5, by all means, let me know, and we can add it to the video. Okay, so an important day, August 18th, excuse me, 1920. Today marks the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Ratified on August 18th, 1920, the 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote. Very important day. So do we have any other questions? If you do, please reach out to the cpogs.training@illinois.gov. And with that, I think we are done for the day. So hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow on the BidBuy training. If not, we'll see you next Tuesday. We have a question. Can you do a special training on emergencies over and under $10,000? Absolutely. I can do that for sure. If you want it specifically for Training Tuesday, you can do that. Or if you would like to do it specifically for your agency, to that way you can make sure that all your folks are on there. We can do that as well. Either way, it'll be done via remote, so it's probably a good idea that we get in touch. So just send me an email, Michelle, and we can figure that out specifically for you. But that's probably not a bad idea to do on a Training Tuesday as well. so that way we can cover our whole cover our bases. So, all right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.